the differences between Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit. And don't get me wrong, like MYRON could be a one-man show and it would make sense. What's up everybody, it's your girl B Octavia and I am back with another video. Welcome to my channel if you are new. I'm from Washington DC and this is my channel with a lot of variety. Ooh, I like that. Now today we will be talking about the differences between Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit. This was a topic of discussion that I wanted to speak on because I was researching both channels. I really started to research Kevin Samuels to get my own opinion of him, which I will speak on in this video as well. If I would have took a lot of people's word for it, I feel like I would say that Kevin Samuels hated women and dragged black women and etc. But that's not the conclusion that I came to. And some people are mad about that and they're going to stay mad. So it started off of me researching Kevin Samuels after his death. And in turn, with how the algorithm of YouTube goes, it suggests you watch stuff from other channels that may be discussing the same topics as Kevin Samuels. So Fresh and Fit came up and they kept coming up on my feed. So I'm like, you know what? I have made a video on them in the past. And I have said certain things that I will not go back on, but I do want to fully get my own opinion of them and have my own conclusion. Whether I come to the same conclusion as a lot of people, we don't know. We're going to see by the end of this video. Kevin Samuels and Fresh and Fit, to me, they do have a lot of similarities, but also within talking about the similarities, I cannot negate from speaking on the differences between both channels. And I would say between both men, but it's almost unfair, or, you know, a dynamic type of versus, because Kevin Samuels is a one-man show versus Fresh and Fit, which is 2 to 3 to 4 men, and they have a shit ton of women that come on there, maybe 5 a show. Okay, so the dynamics are a bit different, but we still won't break it down. And I just got to get this off my chest just for anybody that is looking for a different opinion. And these major differences that I'm going to speak on, I had to see over time of watching both channels. Don't ever make a opinion or, you know, conclusion on something if you haven't done diligent research. Like, even though I have made a video on Fresh and Fit and I'm not too keen of them and their dynamic, what I will say is I watched a shit ton of their videos so that my opinion wasn't biased in any way from reading comments or what have you. I had to do that. You know what I'm saying? Was it torture? No. Because you still can learn a lot from both channels. So before speaking on the differences between these men, I will speak on the similarities that I did see. Number 1, the overall message of both channels I feel like is the same. Their intent could be different, you know what I'm saying, and why they're doing it. It could be for different reasons, which I will get into. But the overall message of it is trying to or attempting to help women see the errors of their ways, and in turn they will attract better men. You know what I'm saying? Some of the shows are dedicated to talking to men, you know, men having conversations, and the message still goes, you know, it's always a lesson to learn. And I've seen that more on Kevin Samuels' channel, of him actually talking to men to help them versus just a debate with men. You feel what I'm saying? So number one, the overall message of the channels is the same to me. Number two, the tone and how things are said is similar in some ways, but coming from different places, which I will get into in the differences. Number three, this vocabulary comes up a lot on both channels. Narcissist, misogynist, and the term high value men and high value women. And this is yet another similarity and difference on both channels. To me, on Fresh and Fit, it seems like there's no such thing as a high value woman, but there is a such thing as a high value man, which I don't get. And number four, which will be the final similarity for now. Both channels, depending on the type of person you are, you can learn about certain types of men, certain types of women, and most importantly, yourself. So now that I have gotten the similarities out of the way, let's talk about the differences. Number one, Kevin Samuels stands alone and is a one-man show and army. Versus the Fresh and Fit podcast has MYRON, which is the face and the hugest voice and opinion, but he has a co-host, and sometimes it's a co-host and then a guest or two. So that makes 4 men, right? I really feel like the dynamic between Fresh and Fit is very codependent on each other to create a balance. And on the other hand, Kevin doesn't need another man or a set of men to back up his opinion. And don't get me wrong, I feel like MYRON could be a one-man show, and it would make sense, you know, and to have some guest on, to even have the co-host be a guest, you know, just switch that motherfucker, put him to the back, you know what I'm saying? Because he barely says anything, but I'll get into that. MYRON could be a one-man show, but decides to include a co-host that barely says anything, and when he does, he's backing up the opinion of MYRON. Or if he's not backing it up, he's cutting a young lady off and telling her not to talk when MYRON talks. Like, number two, Kevin not only has years of experience, he has been married before and also has a child. He has an actual career linked to it, so it makes sense. Versus Fresh and Fit, I've observed that these 2 men on Fresh and Fit barely talk about their personal experience or link it together, you know, to make it relatable. They rarely talk about their personal lives or relationships, and if they have, it's because they've been questioned about it. In my research, I found that in listening to them, neither one of them have had a long-lasting relationship. Neither one of them have actually lived with a woman. And I don't want to sit up and label, you know what I'm saying? But let's just say they crush a lot, okay? It was a woman that came on there, and I'm not sure if MYRON knew that he had a past situation with her, but she was basically saying like she came over to his place and he was just trying to move in and get to going with the love making or with the bumping and grinding too fast, you know, and that turned her off. He was like, yeah, that's the way I do it, you know. If that's the way you do it, then you've never had a good relationship with a woman, a relationship that's not just based off of sex. You know, you get straight to it and that's all there is, you know. How can you teach me as a woman or even a man how to operate and how to be this high value man when you're not operating like a high value man? You just slanging anywhere. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, neither one of them have had any fruitful relationships to give them gems to be able to give to other people. Neither one of them have children, which in my opinion is responsible. It's a sign of wearing condoms and things like that. Practicing safe sex. It means you're responsible. I wouldn't say that them not having kids is a bad sign, but what I will say is it's nothing that I can check in y'all personal situations where you can teach me something without saying. You know what I'm saying? Where you can literally teach me without saying. But back to the point. Being able to properly teach men and women, you gotta have experience. In my opinion, if you can't teach me through your experience, you just teaching me through statistics and graphs. You're not teaching me through your experience or career. It's just graphs, statistics, and drawings. It's not good enough for me. So number 3. In the first beginning of the video, I did state a similarity of theirs as, you know, somewhat of their tone and how they say things. And sometimes I feel like it's the same feeling that people are getting. It's not that they're doing the same things. It's not that Kevin Samuels is rude and Fresh and Fit is rude. I feel like people take it the same way and they form it all into disrespect or being rude when you either don't have to come up on the live of Kevin Samuels or you don't have to go over to MYRON and them's apartment. You don't have to go. If you feel like that from watching it or whatever, either leave yourself, don't wait till they kick you out, or just don't go there. But I see differences in the way that Kevin Samuels operates. And it's simple. And a lot of people take correction, somebody correcting you, as rude versus not being able to talk at all on Fresh and Fit. And especially if the men ain't feeling you, you won't be able to talk and you'll get asked to leave in a very rude way. I feel like, you know, coming from the hood myself, like, don't get me wrong, it's no good way to ask nobody. I mean, it is a good way to ask somebody to leave, and they could still say no. But if you started off saying get the fuck out or whatever the tone is and it's rude, it's going to always go left. The format of Fresh and Fit is very dangerous for them, and they don't even see that. They've had certain instances where a dude, he'd try to come up in there and he was arguing with them in the doorway and this and that. They just got robbed a few days ago. They wasn't in a room or nowhere near it, but still. It's like, y'all not seeing how this could go bad? Even if you got a gun in there. Y'all don't see how this could go bad? I don't think they thinking about that. Even if it's women that you mostly arguing with, them women could call niggas. Them women could call guys. And it'll be over. You know what I'm saying? For what? For y'all to appease to the chat? And listen, cutting women off saying you don't know what you're talking about, that's rude. I hear that a lot on Fresh and Fit. And to me, it's not a fair playing field if MYRON can cut any woman off on here. And that's not taken as rude, but if a woman does it in turn to make her point, just as MYRON just did, she got to get the fuck out. It makes no sense. And hugely with this point, 9 times out of 10, the women get kicked off very rudely. When people keep talking to the chat, like, if you're really engaged with your audience, that's one thing. But if you let your audience control who gets kicked off of here and who gets more airtime and this, that, and for, come on now. Donations ain't worth all that for people, viewers, to be controlling it. What do y'all say, chat? What do you say, chat? I'm so glad that Kevin Samuels wasn't like that at all. He did not pay attention to comments. And even when the women that came up there paid attention to comments, he's like, I'm talking to you. Talk to me. That's what type of person I am too. Like, fuck the chat. You feel what I'm saying? I rock with y'all, but I'm not going to sit up and watch that and read that fast ass shit going across the screen. Do y'all thing. Do what you do. But ain't nobody going to tell me who gets off of here and who doesn't. Because if we can really donate to get whatever his name is, the co-host off of there, can we do that? Can we control it like that? Y'all need to try that. Whoever is in that chat, try that. Try it. Because I would, but I'm not donating to their cause. Period. Number 4, I'm going to speak on their dynamic again as a difference. I strongly believe that MYRON does not need the other guy because MYRON talks all the time. Although MYRON doesn't need the other guy, he needs the other guy because the other guy validates his point and backs him up. Co-signs, and corrects women in his homeboy MYRON's name. Don't talk over MYRON. MYRON is talking. And that's exactly why, in my eyes, Kevin Samuels is alpha. Neither one of Fresh and Fit embodies that just yet. Maybe they'll get it. It's been a pattern every show that MYRON and another co-guest or guest on the show, which is a man, speaks more than the co-host, the actual co-host, even says. MYRON has admitted that the other guy, and I'm sorry I'm calling him the other guy, I guess he's the fifth in Fresh and Fit. I don't know which one he is. He's the silent partner, or at least he should be. MYRON has admitted that the other guy isn't a good debater. Then in my opinion, he shouldn't be sitting there. But he's good at picking out bimbos to be guests on the show. He's good at picking out women that want to go back and forth with MYRON instead of having a actual articulate conversation. He picks out a lot of women with the IQ of 2. I'll tell you that much. He sits there and he shouldn't sit there. Also, speaking on the overall tone of Fresh and Fit, I strongly believe that neither one of them have very good temperament, and they should work on that. I seen a lot more and I heard a lot more patience in Kevin Samuels having conversations with women. Whether he got a little frustrated or not, he still took the time out to really talk to them. And he could have instantly clicked them off when they said some ignorant shit, or they said some things that was hoe-like or whatever, you know? He could have instantly got them the fuck up off his show, and he didn't do that. Versus them, you would never really get where the woman was coming from if you kick her off premature. That's just like if it was our show as women kicking y'all off anytime we got pissed off instead of really having a conversation. It might get a little heated, but don't nobody need to go nowhere. You feel what I'm saying? Ain't nobody calling nobody no cuss words. Ain't nobody doing that. So we can have an articulate conversation. But no, they kick people off real premature. And I feel like more problems will come with that versus just having a conversation. Number 5. Where you are from and your background, it does say a lot about you. Okay, of course we know Kevin Samuels is a black man, okay? And the experience of a black man, the confidence of a black man, the passion of a black man comes out in his tone, okay? That's something that we should know. And that's something to know about black women too. We call angry, we call bitter, and it's all because of those things I just mentioned. We're called a lot of things, but I can say that I strongly feel like Kevin Samuels' tone, it meant well. He still meant well if you took it rude. You know what I'm saying? And his experience, his dedication, his passion all comes out in his tone. He wants you to know that he's serious. And what's one way to do that? In your tone. Versus MYRON, and I don't want to be racial or things like that or stereotypical when I say this, but MYRON is Middle Eastern, has a Middle Eastern background, and the other guy's black, but he's very out of touch. And I say he's out of touch because when MYRON started to talk about black women, this black man didn't say shit. This black man co-signed this Middle Eastern man in talking about us and saying things and saying that he doesn't prefer to date us. And homeboy didn't prefer to date us either. And we're not looking to date you. But the fact that MYRON could get away with that with a black man sitting right there, and that black man don't feel nothing about you, about MYRON, saying that, you know what I'm saying? It told me everything I needed to know about the other guy. But with MYRON having a Middle Eastern background, I personally have had instances, whether they be 30 seconds, a minute, 2, 10 minutes, with Middle Eastern men, you know, working in customer service and things like that. And it was very unpleasant every time. I could tell you that it wasn't me. Okay? I could tell you that it wasn't me. I could tell you that I did feel some type of tension on their end because they didn't want to speak to a woman. You know what I'm saying? I've actually seen for myself how, you know, in my transaction with a Middle Eastern man, how it felt rude and it felt really abrasive and things like that versus me being on the outside of that and seeing the transaction go down with a Middle Eastern man and let's say a white man or a Spanish man. There's none of that. And I don't off the rip feel some type of way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not one of them people that I instantly feel triggered, but I pick up on energy real good. And energy does not lie. I won't say that they hate women, Middle Eastern men hate women. What I will say is, I believe that it's within their culture to look down upon women or feel like women should feel inferior to them. Middle Eastern men usually do have a lot of money, but they walk around like they're better than people, you know, like they're better than most. And I don't know if that's just a cultural thing. I don't know if they come to the U.S. with that mindset and have to have that mindset. I don't know. That's a good question to ask. That could be a sign of not necessarily respecting women or not caring for their existence or not appreciating their role in life. Like not appreciating a woman's role in life even though we bear the children for 9 months plus. We take care of the whole house. We do this, we do that. It's still not good enough or not enough. A man who hates women generally puts a lot of us in the same box. And that's where MYRON comes in. He clearly doesn't respect the women that come up there, or better yet, the career choices they've chose or their decisions that they've made and etc. Right? And to be fair, a lot of them that come up there, they don't respect themselves. So how can anybody else respect them or show respect to them? That's all a setup by the co-host. The co-host is the one who picks the girls out from Instagram or from this place or from that place. So why is he picking stupid girls? Or why is he picking girls that can't have a conversation? Why are you not picking the ones that actually have valid points and can have a proper debate, an educational conversation? Why are you not picking those girls? It's never or rarely women that aren't the typical social media influencer, student, or OnlyFans model. Why is that? A lot of them think the same way. The last point, which will be number 6, is the overall layouts of the show. I spoke on this briefly a few points ago, but Kevin being a one-man show, it exposes a lot because he takes all the backlash himself, even in death. Versus Fresh and Fit, they normally make a lot of excuses for one another, or if one of them is getting the heat, the other one don't say shit because he can't. You know, if MYRON is getting the heat, what can Fit say? What can a co-host say to back him up? Other than, don't cut off MYRON. You're right, MYRON. Honestly, the layout of Fresh and Fit, it's too much going on. It's way too much going on. It's too many women there at one time. Some of them are friends, some of them are not, so that poses a problem. And that poses some type of biasness within the panel. All of these men are familiar with each other. All of these men do like each other and have the same mindsets as well. So how is this dynamic? When the co-host is backing up the host, the guest is backing up the host. I mean, it's not properly balanced to me. When it was properly balanced is when Academics was on there. That is one episode I really enjoyed. And I will further discuss the layouts of the show, the layout of Fresh and Fit, and certain things like that in the next few days, so make sure that you stay tuned for that. So in conclusion, even after watching both channels, as you see, I've come to different conclusions. They may use some of the same verbiage, but Kevin Samuels operates way different and more efficient than Fresh and Fit. In some ways, you can say that Fresh and Fit is copying the format or the formula that Kevin Samuels has, but they don't have the proper experience to back it up. I see that Fresh and Fit they are having problems collabing with certain with other YouTube channels. And I think that it's mainly because they don't have the proper experience to back up the rules that they put in place. With certain people out here that's not yes men, like Academics, that's willing to call out contradictions and flaws in how they go about the show and what they talk about and what they are supposed to be living by. No woman even has to call them misogynistic or narcissistic at all, because they're gonna always be called out by either Academics or somebody else who's not afraid of their platform and who can really debate it down. The inconsistencies are going to show for themselves. I'll have a video coming out soon highlighting some of the inconsistencies made by Fresh and Fit, as they've had a heated debate with Academics in the past, and they just had a situation with a fellow podcast named H3 Podcast. So I will have a jam-packed next couple of weeks. I want you to make sure that you have the notification bell on, you know what I'm saying? Get the notification on time that I am premiering a video, that I am going live, that I have posted something on my community, etc. So with all of that being said, it's your girl B Octavia, and I will see y'all in my next video.